Okay. So chapter 5 is theory of consumer behavior. Alright. Okay, so what is consumer behavior? Consumer behavior refers to the study of a consumer while he or she is engaged in the process of consumption. So bila kita membeli barang dan perkhidmatan, so how we behave, itu adalah consumer behavior lah. Yeah. So this will tell us how consumer with his limited resources, which is income, purchases various goods and services, and we will compare the price and utilities of different alternatives. Alright. So under consumer behavior, ya, kita ada konsep utility lah. So what is utility? It is satisfaction obtained from consuming a commodity. Ya, so bila kita membeli sesuatu barang, kita decide, okay, barang ni yang kita nak beli. Kenapa? Kerana kita nak memaksimumkan kita punya kepuasan. Ya, or utility is the ability or the power of goods and services to satisfy consumers' wants. To measure this utility, the concept of maximizing utility or satisfaction, kita ada dua approach, cardinal approach and ordinal approach. Okay, so what is cardinal approach? The cardinal utility theory says that the utility is measurable and by placing a number of alternatives where the utility can be added. So maksudnya di sini, kalau guna cardinal approach, ya, so mengatakan bahawa satisfaction itu kita boleh kira, kita boleh letak number. Okay, so we can measure the utility, we can measure the satisfaction. Okay, the index used to measure utility is called utils. Contohnya, an apple equals to 5 utils or orange gives 8 utils. Kita beli apple, kita letakkan kepuasan kita sebanyak 8. Ya, kita beli orange, kita letakkan kepuasan sebanyak 10. So itu maksudnya cardinal approach. Satisfaction atau kepuasan itu kita boleh put number. Okay. For ordinal approach, the ordinal utility theory says that utility is not measurable but it can be compared. Okay, tak boleh measure, kita tak boleh put number tapi kita boleh compare atau kita boleh rank. The ordinal approaches use the ranking of alternative as first, second, third and so on. So kita rank. So first, kepuasan mana yang memberikan kepuasan yang pertama, kedua, ketiga dan seterusnya. Okay, contohnya an apple is preferred to a durian. This means an apple has higher utility than durian, but it cannot be said by how much. Contohnya kita rank. Kalau kita ada apple, kita ada orange, kita ada durian, so first kita akan kepuasan kita maksimum kalau kita makan apple. So apple adalah first, second orange, third durian. So maximum satisfaction adalah pada apple, kedua orange, ketiga durian. So kita rank. So itu adalah ordinal approach. So kita nak lihat ordinal approach lah, sebab ordinal approach yang paling kita katakan realistik lah. Kalau cardinal kita tak boleh put number on utility, kalau secara realitinya tidak. Tapi ordinal, yes, kita boleh rank. So kita guna ordinal approach. Kita belajar ordinal approach. So under ordinal approach kita kena tahu indifference curve. So an indifference curve represents all the possible combinations of two goods which will give the same level of satisfaction. For all possible points on the indifference curve, the total satisfaction will be equal. Maknanya indifference curve ni, dia menunjukkan bahawa dua jenis barang yang dibeli oleh pengguna, oleh consumer, yang memberikan kepuasan yang sama. So under indifference curve ada assumptions lah. So the first assumption is scale of preferences. Number 2, consumer preferences are term transitivity. Rationality, number 3. Diminishing marginal rate of substitution, number 4. And 5, concept of ordinal utility. So kita tengok one by one. So what is scale of preferences? We assume that consumer knows his preferences and decides on an alternative combination based on his preference. Maknanya consumer tahu kesukaan dia, apa yang dia suka, dia boleh decide on dia punya preferences itu. Consumers preferences are term transitivity. Maksudnya if consumer prefer A to B, ada dua pilihan A ke B, so dia pilih A. Kalau ada dua pilihan B ke C, dia pilih B. Meaning that kalau ada pilihan A to C, dia akan pilih A. Itu maksudnya transitivity. Rationality, the consumer is rational in his behavior and seeks to maximize total level of satisfaction. Diminishing marginal rate of substitution, it is the law of indifference curve itu. The rate of substitution between two goods goes on declining due to operation of the law of diminishing marginal utility. Maksudnya, semakin banyak kita consume, semakin kuranglah kita punya kepuasan, satisfaction, right? And the slopes of indifference curve is downward sloping lah, right? The concept of ordinal utility, the indifference curve analysis is based on the concept of ordinal utility. It implies that consumer can rank alternative combinations by simple comparison of the satisfaction. Okay, so kita nak lihat indifference schedule and curve. An indifference schedule is a list of combinations of the goods that give equal satisfaction to the consumer. An indifference schedule may be defined as schedule of various combinations of goods that will equally satisfy the individual. So this is the indifference schedule lah. So we have combinations of good. Kita ada good Y and good X. So this is the consumption lah. So kalau consumer consume A, dia akan consume 12Y 2X. Kalau di consume B, 6Y 4X, C 4Y 6X, and so on. So combination A shows that the consumer has 12Y and 2X, while combination B shows he has 6Y and 4X. The consumer is indifferent to these combinations as they give equal satisfaction. Maksudnya kalau dia consume point A, tak ada masalah. A, B, C, D ikut dia lah, sebab kesemua combination ini akan memberi kepuasan yang sama. So this is the indifference curve. So this is good Y, good X. So kita akan dapat convex shape of the indifference curve. Semakin banyak kita consume X, semakin kurang Y yang kita akan lepaskan. So bermaksud di sini negatively slope of indifference curve. Okay, so this is the indifference map. So kalau kita ada beberapa indifference curve, kita panggil indifference map. So the higher the indifference curve, the higher will be the utility or satisfaction. So antara indifference curve 1, 2 dan 3, indifference curve 3 yang memberikan kepuasan yang maksimum. Okay, so now kita nak lihat apa itu marginal rate of substitution. Marginal rate of substitution refers to the rate at which goods are substituted for one another. Okay, contohnya tadi kita ada combination di sini. Y and X. 12Y, 1X, 8Y, 2X, 5Y, 3X, 3Y, 4X, 2Y, 5X. So apa itu marginal rate of substitution? So untuk 1 tambahan 1Y, 1X, kita akan lepaskan 4Y. Untuk tambah lagi 1 consumption of X, kita akan lepaskan 3Y. Untuk tambah 1 lagi X, kita akan lepaskan 2Y. Untuk tambah 1 lagi X, kita akan lepaskan 1Y. Bermaksud di sini nampak decreasing. So the marginal rate of substitution to decreasing. So it implies that the indifference curve is downward sloping, negatively slope. Negatively slope. Okay, so what are the characteristic of indifference curve? Ni adalah antara karakteristik dia. Indifference curve slope downward from the left to the right. Sebab konsep of marginal rate of substitution tadi, dia declining. So negatively slope. And it is convex from the origin. Convex bermaksud apa? Bermaksud because of the diminishing marginal rate of substitution. Ingat kalau PPC, kita ada 3 shape. Convex, concave dengan straight line. Tapi kalau untuk indifference curve, dia convex sahaja. Bermaksud semakin banyak X kita consume, semakin kurang Y yang kita akan consume lah. Okay, alright. And higher indifference curve will give higher satisfaction. And indifference curve never intersecting, dia tidak akan intersect begini. And indifference curve do not touch Y axis and X axis. So maknanya indifference curve dia tidak akan jadi begini. Dia tak akan jadi X kosong, Y kosong, tidak akan. Kerana indifference curve ini dia tidak akan, kepuasan kita tak akan ada kosong kepuasan. Kita mesti akan ada sedikit kepuasan. So itu adalah maksudnya indifference curve dia tidak akan touch X axis ataupun Y axis. Okay, kita lihat budget line. Alright, budget line pula. Tadi kita dah lihat satisfaction, now kita nak lihat budget line pula. So budget line represent various combinations of two goods which can purchase with a given amount of money and given the price of each unit. So kita ada limitation di mana kita ada pendapatan dan ada harga. So ini adalah budget line lah, right? So a consumer has an income of RM12 to purchase two types of good. Contohnya, consumer ada RM12 pendapatan, so dia akan beli dua jenis barang. Kalau barang X harganya RM1, berapakah dengan RM12 tu dia boleh beli X? So kalau dengan RM12 dia boleh beli 12 unit of X. Okey, untuk Y pula harganya 50 sen setiap unit. Dengan RM12, berapakah Y dia boleh beli? Dia boleh beli 24 units of Y. Okay, so by joining these 2 points together, we get the budget line. So ini budget line. Nampak? So this is good X, this is good, this is good Y, this is good X. Tadi dengan RM12 pendapatan, harga X adalah RM1 setiap satu unit. So dengan RM12 income, kita boleh beli 12 unit of X. Okay, so tadi harga Y 50 sen, dengan 12 pendapatan kita 12 income, RM12, kita boleh beli 24 Y. Ini yang dimasukkan dengan budget line. Okay, so this is the changes in budget line. So budget line akan changes, dia akan shift sekiranya there is shift in the there is changes in income, change in income. So bila pendapatan meningkat, kita punya budget line pun meningkat. Okay, kalau menurun, budget line pun menurun. And then budget line juga dia boleh change bila price changes. So bila harga X changes, dia boleh shift lah. Sama ada dia shift to the left ataupun shift to the right. Kita kata pivot lah, dia shift towards X. Ya, dia shift towards X di sini. And then kalau harga Y berubah, dia shift towards Y. Okay. Right, now this is the equilibrium. So kita akan ambil indifference curve tadi, kita akan combine dengan budget line. So kita akan dapat consumer equilibrium. So consumer equilibrium is achieved when the consumer consume the best possible combination of two goods with the given amount of income. So dengan adanya income, so berapakah optimum combination yang consumer boleh beli yang memberikan kepuasan kepada dia, yang memberikan kepuasan kepada dia. So kita ada di sini beberapa indifference curve. Contohnya indifference curve number 2. So indifference curve 2 ini menunjukkan ada intersecting, A dengan B intersect. Indifference curve intersect dengan budget line. Tetapi point A dengan E ni memberikan kepuasan yang paling rendah. Jadi dia tidak boleh dikira sebagai equilibrium. Indifference curve 1 pula, intersect at B and D. Budget line dengan indifference curve intersect at point B dengan D. Masih lagi tidak boleh dikategorikan sebagai equilibrium disebabkan dia tidak tangent satu, tidak tangent, dan kedua lower satisfaction. So the equilibrium happens when indifference curve dia tangent dengan budget line and at the maximum indifference curve, maximum satisfaction. So C adalah equilibrium. So Y star and X star is the optimum combination of goods that will be consumed by the consumer that will give maximum satisfaction given the income. Right? So consumer equilibrium is reached when the indifference curve tangent with the budget line, which represent best combination of the goods with limited income as point C. At point B and E, A and also D, the consumer will have lesser satisfaction. Less satisfaction with the same amount of income. Right? Boleh faham? Untuk consumer behavior, itu saja untuk consumer behavior. Ada soalan nak tanya?
Tak ada, madam.
Okey ya?
Okey.
Okey, alhamdulillah. Okey, so kita lihat pula chapter 8. Okey, chapter 8 adalah berkenaan dengan theory of distribution. Okay. So this chapter will explain how the factors of production, land, labor, capital and entrepreneur receive their rewards. Kalau ingat lagi, kita ada land, labor, capital, entrepreneur. So reward kepada land adalah wages or salary. Land adalah rental. Labor, wages or salary. Capital, interest, entrepreneur, profit. So chapter ini akan melihat bagaimana wages, interest and so on kita macam mana determine this rental, wages and so on. Okay. So basically theory of distribution explain how a household earn rent, interest, wages and entrepreneur earns profit. Okay. So kalau ingat balik macam saya kata tadi, payment of factors of production apa? Labor, wages and salary, land, rent, capital, interest, entrepreneur, profit. Okay. So demand untuk factors of production ini dia berbeza dengan demand of goods and services. So demand of factors of production adalah derived demand. Kenapa dia derived demand? The demand for goods is direct demand, whereas the demand for factors of production is derived demand. A derived demand is defined as the demand for an input not for itself but for use in the production of other goods and services. Kalau kita beli barang, kita konsep perkhidmatan, itu adalah barang directly kita beli untuk kita guna terus. Tetapi kalau kita membeli, kita demand factors of production, kita adalah menggunakan factor of production untuk produce barang lain. So itu dipanggil sebagai derived demand. Joint demand, demand for factors of production is joint demand because production need more than one factors of production. Jadi kalau kita nak hasilkan sesuatu barang, kita tak boleh ada labor je, betul? Kita kena ada land, kita kena ada capital and so on. Jadi maksudnya kalau kita beli satu, kita mempunyai satu factors of production tidak cukup. Kita perlu ada beberapa yang lain. Itu yang dipanggil sebagai joint demand. Okay, so we have theory of marginal productivity. So the theory of marginal productivity explain how the payments for factors of production are determined. Okay, in other words, marginal productivity theory explains that in equilibrium, each factors of production will be rewarded according to its marginal productivity. Okay, so untuk factors of production, setiap kita nak tahu sama ada efficient ke tidak factors of production ini, kita measure melihat kepada productivity. Apa maksud productivity? Maksudnya menggunakan factors of production itu, semakin banyak kita guna, semakin banyak barang yang dapat dihasilkan dalam jangka masa yang singkat. Bermaksud efficient. Contohnya labor. Semakin banyak labor, semakin banyak barang dapat dihasilkan. Itu maksudnya productivity. Okay, so the demand for factors of production depends on the productivity of the factors of production. The higher the productivity, the higher will be the demand for factors of production. So sekiranya kita ada seorang labor itu cekap, bagus dan boleh menghasilkan barang, boleh menghasilkan idea, menghasilkan barang, menghasilkan perkhidmatan dengan banyak pada satu-satu jangka masa, bermaksud dia adalah produktif. Okay, so we have this concept of marginal productivity. Okay, total physical productivity, it is the total output produced by employing the factors of production. Dia lebih kurang sama macam chapter 6, total product. Dengan adanya labor, berapa banyak labor ini dapat menghasilkan barang. Marginal physical productivity refers to the total physical product of employing one additional unit of factor while the quantity of other factor remain constant. Ini adalah macam marginal product. Marginal product. Contohnya, 5 workers produce 12 pair of shoes, 6 worker employ 16 pair of shoes. Jadi berapakah marginal physical productivity? 16 tolak 12 bahagi 1. So we have 4 pair of shoes. Marginal value product, monetary value of marginal physical product. So kita ambil MPP yang kita dah kira tadi, darab dengan harga. Right. And then kita ada konsep revenue pula, total revenue productivity. Total revenue product is the total revenue gain by employing the factors of production. So bila adanya labor, bila adanya capital and so on, berapakah revenue yang company itu boleh dapat. Marginal revenue productivity, addition made to total revenue by employing one additional unit of factor while the quantity of other factor remain constant. Ni marginal revenue lah. Marginal revenue. Okay, contohnya 8 workers produce 1,000 ringgit worth of shoes. 9 worker produce 1,200 ringgit of worth of shoes. Okay, jadi berapakah marginal revenue product? 1,200 minus 1,000 divided by 1, it is 200. Okay, so untuk perfect competitive, marginal revenue product adalah MPP darab price atau darab marginal revenue lah. Alright. Average revenue product is the total revenue product bagi dengan total inputs ataupun labor. Okay. Now kita fokus on labor sahaja. Kita tak payah sebab syllabus kita cover sampai labor sahaja. So kita tak cover capital, kita tidak cover rent and also profit or entrepreneur. Okay. Right, so now kita nak lihat the determination of price of factor. So equilibrium price of factor depends on the demand and supply of the factors of production. Supply and demand of factors of production. So kalau kita nak lihat wages, to determine wage rate, we need to know both the market demand and market supply of labour. So demand for labour, siapa demand labour? So demand for labour adalah firms lah, firm. So firm will demand labour. So marginal revenue product determines the firm's demand curve for labour. Alright, so MRP yang determine demand for labour. Okay, so this is the firm's demand curve and this is industry demand curve. So di sini, sekiranya wages kita at W1, so demand of labour hanyalah N1 sahaja. Okay, semakin tinggi wages, semakin kuranglah demand for labour. Kalau wages kita at W2, demand for labour akan meningkat to N3. Bermaksud semakin kurang wages, semakin banyaklah demand for labour. Right, downward sloping demand curve for labour ataupun downward sloping marginal revenue product. Untuk supply of labour pula, comes from individuals atau from household to earn wages or salary. Okay, so untuk kalau kita hanya fokus on perfect competition, so kita kata there are large number of firms and no single firm is able to influence the price. So the price is fixed by the industry. So kita kata the supply curve of labour adalah perfectly elastic ataupun horizontal. Now kita nak determine equilibrium of wages. So the market wage rate is determined by the point where the market demand equals market supply of labour. The market supply curve of worker is upward sloping and the market demand curve for worker is downward sloping. Okay, kalau biasa, market supply and demand for labour adalah upward sloping for supply, demand adalah downward sloping. So this is the wage and this is the labour. So kalau kita nak lihat berapakah optimum level of worker will be employed under perfect competition. So demand curve dia downward sloping tapi supply curve dia horizontal. So it is the intersection between demand and supply curve under perfect competition. So labour adalah this is the amount of labour and wage is this is the amount of wage. Okay, now kita lihat pula profit maximization. Okay, so the number of worker hired by individual firm depends on the marginal revenue product and marginal wage cost. So what is marginal wage cost? It is addition to the cost of employing one additional worker. So it is a change in labour divided by change in employment. Okay, so kita nak compare marginal revenue product dengan marginal wage cost. So the equilibrium of the wage rate will be at the level where the MRP equals to MWC. The profit maximization for good is at the point when marginal revenue is at the point equal to marginal cost. Okay, so MRP equals to MWC. Kalau lah MRP greater than MWC, revenue greater than wage, than cost, firm gain because workers productivity greater than the cost. Tapi kalau revenue MRP less than MWC, maknanya revenue less than cost, firm losses because worker productivity lower than the cost. Okay, so kita lihat di sini. Okay, contoh. The table below shows firm in Malaysia that produce t-shirt and let us assume the firm is operating in a perfect competition and the price of t-shirt sold at RM10 per piece. So kita ada number of worker, total physical product. So macam mana kita nak kira average physical product? Total physical product bahagi dengan labor. 80 bagi 1, 200 bagi 2, 360 bagi 3. Kita dapat this one. Marginal physical product, change in total physical product divided by change in labor. 200 tolak 80, 120 bagi 1, 120. 360 tolak 200, 160 bagi 1, 160 dan seterusnya. Untuk marginal revenue product, so MPP darab dengan price of t-shirt. So 80 darab 10, 800, 120 darab 10, 1200, 160 darab 10, 1600 dan seterusnya. Okay, right. Kita lihat soalan. If the wage rate is 1,000, how many workers should the firm employ to minimize cost? Okay, so ingat, profit maximization dia adalah MRP equals to MWC. So kalau MWC dia 1000, MRP dia berapa? Pun 1000 di sini. So berapakah optimum level of labor? 5. 5 workers. Okay, so kalau kita kena sketch, MRP downward sloping. So this is the MWC. The wage rate, the supply. So 1,000 here is the wage rate and 5 is the number of labor. Okay, kita lihat soalan ni. A perfectly competitive firm sells its output at the price of RM5. The table below shows the number of labor and total product of the firm. So, cari marginal physical product. So, sorry. So, this one 100. So, this one 90. This one 80. 70. 60. 50. 40. 30. Dia macam marginal product tu lah. Buat macam marginal product 10. Okay, marginal revenue product. Marginal physical product darab dengan price. So 500, 450, 400, 350, 300, 250, 200, 150, 100 and 50. Okay, kita lihat soalan. Assume the wage rate is RM200. How many workers should the firm hire in order to maximize profit? Jadi, kalau wage, marginal wage cost adalah 200, jadi berapakah MRP? So, MRP equals to MWC at 200. So, berapa number of labor? 7. So, disuruh draw the diagram to show the equilibrium. Kita lihat di sini je lah. So, tadi berapa? 200 kan? 200. Number of labor adalah 7. Macam ni. Okay. And then, if the wage rate increase to 400, how many workers should the firm hire? Kalau wage meningkat, mesti dia akan hire less number of worker. So MWC equals to MRP at 400. Berapa number of labor? 3 sahaja. Jadi disuruh lukis at the same diagram. Jadi macam mana kita nak lukis? So supply curve akan jadi naik ke atas lah, upward sloping di sini. Okay. And then we have dia dah berkurang lah di sini. Number of labor. So tadi berapa? 400. And then kita punya number of labor 3 sahaja. Okay, nampak? So 400, maknanya di sini number of labor telah menurun daripada 7 ke 3. Okay. Alright, sama juga soalan ni. Complete the table. So we have MPL, marginal product of labor. Okay, macam mana? Total product of labor bahagi dengan change in total product of labor divided by change in labor. So, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5 and MRP. MRP macam mana? Kita tak ada price, jadi kita ada total revenue, jadi kita ambil change in total revenue divided by change in labor. So 20, 18 ya. 12. Betul tak saya ni? Tak kira kan? Salah pula. 354 tolak 38. Betul 16. Oh sorry 16. Okay. And then 68 tolak 54. 14. 80 tolak 68. 12. Dan ni 10. Okay. If the wage rate is 14, how many worker will the firm hire to maximize profit? So MWC dia 14. So amount of labor should be hired adalah 4. Okay, so kita kena sketch pula. Okay, guna saja yang ni. So dia kata berapa tadi? 14 kan? Yeah, so 14. This one will be 14. And this one is 4. 4 ya. Macam tu. Okay. Itu sahaja untuk chapter 8. Okay, boleh faham?
Faham.
Okay, ada soalan nak tanya?
Tak ada madam.
Tak ada. Okay, good.